I still wonder if they have the talent to even make it matter.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. No star power. I don't see a lot of.
Well, go ahead, Tony.
Well, I was just going to say I was listening to an interview with the Penn State beat writer on my cohort Tom Orr's morning show, and he was talking about the receivers, the Penn State receivers. They're just the only playmaker is Jahan Dotson, and he's a smaller guy, and all of the other bigger guys are just possession guys who really aren't going to scare anybody. And that's the problem with, I guess, the entire Penn State offense right now. When Sean Clifford may be your most dynamic player, your most dynamic playmaker, you've got issues.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of pitch and catch between Clifford and Freiermuth. I mean, they may take some shots with Dotson, but losing Journey Brown before the start of the season, losing Noah Cain after week 1. That's not taking anything away from Devin Ford, but he's got a couple of true freshmen behind him or whatnot. I just don't see a running game that's not generated by Clifford himself. I just don't see a lot of a throw game outside of what they can do with the tight end. I mean, does Ohio State bracket a tight end? I mean, honestly, that's going to be their best weapon there. And you look at what Freiermuth did against Indiana. I mean, he was impressive, and he still had some drops. He left a lot of yardage out there on the field at that point. And we know through the years, Ohio State has had some issues with some of the prolific tight ends in the league. So, if that's your pitch and catch right there between your quarterback and your tight end, and then maybe you got the Q run, I don't know if Penn State has 31, 35 points in it or whatever. And I just don't know how Ohio State is going to be held south of 35. So it's really going to take Ohio State being -2, -3 in turnover margin, or a rushed field goal that gets blocked and housed or something. Or, I mean, it's going to take something a little freaky if all things are equal and we're not talking about a huge disparity in some of those intangibles.
Yeah, Ohio State's lucky that Greg Schiano is safely tucked away as the head coach at Rutgers, because it was the game at Iowa, the Noah Fant game there 2 years ago, that Iowa, they kind of went to their bag of tricks. They kind of got into the goodie bag there and came out with this wrinkle. It's called the tight end, who I think some people had forgotten is still an eligible receiver in college football. And I don't think Greg Schiano had taken that into account. And I think their tight ends had 4 touchdowns in that game and probably like 15 catches or something. So, yeah, now that he's at Rutgers, we don't have to worry about that wrinkle for the Ohio State defense. Although the linebacker play for Ohio State against Nebraska was a little wanting at times, but I don't know. I guess we'll see how they rebound with a bigger game. And Freiermuth he's gonna get his. He's gonna have 6 or 7 catches. So it's just keeping him out of the end zone is the big thing.
I don't think you can fault Greg Schiano for not knowing tight ends are eligible receivers when he does not see it in practice.
Yeah, they don't throw it to him in practice. It's kind of like what Ryan Day was saying, running the football. Well, our scout team only can give us so many looks and whatever. And, we just, they showed us some stuff, and it took a while. The good thing is we had veterans to identify it and adapt.
I will say, go ahead, Kevin.
Bear front or whatever that Tech threw at them. What the hell is this? We've never seen this before.
What are they doing?
But I will say, Pat Freiermuth last week, 7 for 60. If that happens again this week, that's no issue. He was 6 for 40 last year against Pete Werner. Let's see what Baron Browning and Josh Proctor can do, because they're going to be certainly tested. And 7 for 60, that's a winning number for Ohio State all day long, unless it's 7 touchdowns.
That's workable.
Yeah.
Ohio State still might be able to pull out a 52-49 with what we've seen in some recent years in this series. Granted, we haven't gotten up to that type of number, and when somebody hits that 50 or 60 number, it's generally 63, and the other team has 14.
Yeah, it's great to have a tight end as a weapon, but he shouldn't be the number one option, and that's where Penn State is right now. And just to kind of pull together everything, what everyone said concerning Penn State personnel, I don't know that there's a team definitely in the Big Ten, not maybe in the nation, that looks so much different after one game in regards to the perception of what they have and the personnel, and to Steve's nomenclature, star power, than Penn State minus Kane, Journey Brown, Parsons, and what they showed us with Sean Clifford. And just as an aside, I know Michael Penix, I don't know what the exact comments were, but he kind of called out and put on notice the rest of the Big Ten because of Indiana's coming. But he may want to look at the game tape and see that they were very fortunate to win that game. And the Sean Clifford making Indiana safeties and linebackers miss in the open field might be a cause of concern for the Hoosiers when they play some other teams as well, because Sean Clifford has not shown that against anybody else. And suddenly he's, Michael Vick in the open field gaining 119 yards, but he did throw his 2 customary bad picks in the first half that obviously cost them points. All right, predictions on this one. And again, you guys can point us to your sites if you don't want to leave them here. Steve.
Yeah, I just posted my game data page. I got it out of the way a little bit earlier than normal this week. I don't know. Maybe I'm on top of my work. I don't know. But 34-19 is what I said for Ohio State. That line, 12 points again. To me, there are a lot of people out there that have to have money on every game. And this one, just with so many questions, I think, at least on the Penn State side, I'm not sure that this is one where I could take a stand and pound my fist and say for certain Ohio State's going to cover 12 in this game. But I do think the athletes that Ohio State has, I mean, they're up 21-0 in this game last year at home. I think, it could be nothing to see Olave and Wilson get out early and often, and to where the final 40 minutes of this game are kind of fait accompli. So I don't know. I'm going to say Ohio State 34-19. They make a play in the fourth quarter. It's kind of touch and go, and one of the freaks steps up and makes a play, and that's it. So that's kind of my thought on it. And I do believe Ohio State wins the game. No question in my mind. Other than Penn State, like in 2016, needs to summon something Herculean to pull off the upset, in my opinion.
I'll jump in. I normally don't want to give my prediction here. I'll give what I have now. I could change the score a little bit, but I threw 35 points out as kind of being that line of demarcation. I like Ohio State to get north of it. I don't like Penn State to approach it. I think anybody who's expecting a shutout, I know there are a lot of tried and true Ohio State fans that freak out when any points go on the board for the opposing team. Well, Penn State's going to make a couple plays. They're at home. They have 85 scholarship players. Truth of the matter is that we had them installed as the number 2 team in the Big Ten going into the season. And I don't think that what we saw at Indiana is truly going to indicate what they're about for 8 games or 7 games or 5 games or whatever we truly get based on the schedule being packed the way that it is. But I think at the end of the day, Ohio State does get north of that, but I don't think Ohio State will be as efficient as it was against Nebraska, just based on the level of athlete it's going against and things along those lines. So I'm going to say 38-17 Ohio State.
Overreaction to week ones happen way too much out there. Go ahead, Tony.
I hadn't thought about the score until you mentioned it, and for me, the baseline is Ohio State should score 31 against everybody they play, and then where are we from there? And as Steve was talking, I had it 31-20. Then as he kept talking, I'm thinking 38-20, and I that's where I'm at midweek, and I may move that up to like 45 or 41. So I'll go 38-20 simply because I think Ohio State will score 31 points against everybody, and then I'll throw on an extra touchdown because I like Ohio State's tackles, and if you give Justin Fields time, I think Ohio State will have success against these corners. And Garrett Wilson against Lamont Wade to me is a mismatch if that happens, and so there's a touchdown in there waiting to happen at some point as well. So I'll go 38-20.
My prediction on Patreon, folks, head on over there and you get the insider look. You get the betting advice from not myself, from handicappers and odds makers and so forth, and also extra bonus content. Ohio State Live with an additional like 10 minutes today. So people, I hope you appreciate it. Steve Hellwagon from Bucknuts, 247 Sports, Kevin Noon, Rivals, Buckeye Grove, Tony Gerdeman from Buckeye Scoop, and everyone, again, hope you appreciate what we've got here in the expertise on Ohio State, Big Ten, and the nation.